Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to call this meeting of the County Commissioners to order. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if we could remain standing for a moment of silence. It's been a trying week. Our last couple of weeks have been a little trying here in Kent County, and we'd like to keep the families of Mr. William Bill Sutton in our prayers, Betsy Redmond, Patricia, better known as Patty Hastings, and Susan Martinez, and all the rest that I'm sure I've probably forgotten, but let's just keep them all in our prayers. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, as luck would have it, or not luck, whatever, we have a couple public hearings today. Our internet is down. Now, we won't be able to see anything up there. When this is over, you will be able to come back and view. I think we'll be able to view this meeting for those that aren't here that want to hear it or listen to it. But unfortunately, that part of it is down today. But as they say, the show must go on. So we're going to do the best we can. Okay. We have a proclamation for Shannon. Hannawald. She is an endometriosis Warriors of the Eastern Shore. And we have this is Endometriosis Awareness Month proclamation that Commissioner Nickerson will read aloud.
Endometriosis Awareness Month, March. Whereas an estimated 200 million women worldwide have been diagnosed with endometriosis, a disease for which there is no cure and often makes treatments for women problematic. And whereas the cause of endometriosis is unknown and helps to contribute to the lack of education, understanding, and social acceptance of those who constantly have to battle endometriosis. And whereas endometriosis has caused women to face discrimination from employers, friends, family, and doctors due to the unpredictability disease. And whereas the local support group, Endo Warriors of the Eastern Shore, has joined together with others to promote awareness, support, and education for better understanding of endometriosis and the ability to diagnose and treat it. Whereas understanding endometriosis will help guarantee hope for a better future for women and children who continue to battle this disease. Now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim March 2024 as Endometriosis Awareness Month in Kent County and recognize the acknowledge and importance of raising awareness of endometriosis. Signed, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Ronald H. Fithian, President, Albert H. Nickerson, Member, and John F. Price, Member.
And you like to have a picture?
Can I talk first?
I apologize.
No,
I'm sorry.
fine.
Absolutely,
Do
you
you want me to
can.
come up here?
I should have let you did that before the proclamation,
That's
but
fine.
I got a lot on my mind today. I think we're going to have a
You're
long day, and I apologize
I
for
completely
sure.
understand. You're fine. First, I just want to thank you guys. Again, this is the fourth year that I have been doing this, and the fourth year that you have been willing and wonderful enough to help me raise awareness and proclaim March's Endometriosis Awareness Month in Kent County. The first year when I started this, I explained what endometriosis was, which is a thickening of the lining of the uterus. It can grow anywhere. It's actually been found on the brain and lungs more recently. So when the doctor tells you to get a hysterectomy because it will make it better, it does not make it better. It will never go away. The second year, I kind of shared my story of how it took 5 years of the doctors telling my parents that I was lying, how I had lost a baby during fertility treatments, the effect that it has had on me and my family. Last year was basically how I explained how it was a whole body disease. It affects you physically, emotionally, and mentally. When I was 17 years old, I did attempt to commit suicide because I was so tired of no one listening to me. The doctors kept telling my parents there was absolutely nothing wrong because they just kept doing ultrasounds and CAT scans, and the only way to diagnose endometriosis is through a laparoscopic surgery. This year, I kind of want to go into something else. Endometriosis is not currently listed as an autoimmune disorder, even though many people are trying to get it listed as one. There are, however, multiple autoimmune disorders that go along with endometriosis. There is lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune thyroid disorder, Crohn's, inflammatory bowel disease, and Addison's disease. This past year, I was diagnosed with Crohn's. I have spent at least 3 days in the hospital every month since last July, while they are trying to figure out what to do. I did find a new GI doctor, and we are working on a plan. But my main thing is when I went to the emergency room, I had a doctor, and he came in and he sat down, and he didn't say hello, didn't ask me how I was. He just came in, sat down in the chair, and looked at me and said, endometriosis is not that painful and it's not an emergency condition. And I looked at him for a minute because I had to gather my thoughts, and I said it actually is and can be an emergency. It is extremely painful. I know that I look like a normal 40-year-old on the outside, but if I had my insides on my outsides, people would probably stay 10 miles away from me because it is all messed up. The way that he spoke to me took me back to that 16-year-old girl who was terrified and didn't know what to do because nobody would listen to me. It was really hard for me at first, and I struggled. It took me back to a place that I didn't want to be in. But then it relit the fire of why I'm doing this. If he had spoken to my nieces or any other young woman like that, they don't have enough knowledge to advocate for themselves, and I do. So I will keep doing that until every single person in the world knows what endometriosis is. They understand how painful it is. It basically feels like somebody's stabbing you in your ovaries with a knife over and over and over again. It causes a lot of problems. You miss stuff with your family and your children. But the treatment that I received from that doctor is absolutely unacceptable, and I will not allow someone else to go through that. Even if it helps just one person, doing this and speaking about this is worth it to me. Some of the things are very uncomfortable to talk about, and they're very personal, but again, I do not want anyone to ever go through what I and so many other women have. Again, when somebody has a chronic illness, you don't always see it on the outside. So you don't just assume that everything's okay because I look like I'm fine, but I'm really not. And it's extremely important that everyone understand that, and everyone try and be kind and understanding and ask questions and try and learn about the different disorders that people could have that you don't see on the outside. But the most important thing I've learned is you have to advocate for yourself. I always like to end with the quote, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. My niece brought this quote to my attention, and I feel it explains the whole situation perfectly. Endo warriors, unfortunately, cannot control being given endometriosis, but we can have the courage to change the course of the disease and how it affects us and others in the future. This year, I am having my 3rd annual Yellow Day on March 15th, and I would greatly appreciate if you guys would participate in that. and you can post it on my Facebook page, or you can email it to me. I would like to turn the entire Eastern Shore yellow. I have school systems that are participating this year. A couple of big corporations are participating this year, and it means so much to me and everyone in the community when the commissioners in the town acknowledge, accept, and support those who are fighting this disease and any other disease. I wish 20 years ago there would have been someone like me who would have talked about it, and then I wouldn't have tried to commit suicide, or I could have been diagnosed sooner because the doctors would have been more educated. So it's just extremely important to me to keep raising awareness for this disease, and again, I truly appreciate your support and continuing to do this.
Well, bless your heart, and you're a real advocate for this disease, and we're proud to do it. So if you'd like to have a picture and with your proclamation, we'd be glad to do it. Give that camera to Shelley and she'll take it. Just stand right there, anybody.
All right, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys so much.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now we have another proclamation to read. It's Girl Scout Week proclamation. It's 2024 Girl Scout Week, and there's no one here to receive it, but we're going to read it aloud, and we'll make sure that they get the proclamation.
It's a proclamation for 2024 Girl Scout Week, March 10th to March 16th, 2024. Whereas March 12th, 2024 marks the 112th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the USA, the largest and most impactful leadership program for girls in the world. And whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouting has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism, including Girl Scouts of the Chesapeake Bay, who serve over 7,000 members over 14 counties of the Delmarva Peninsula. And whereas Girl Scouting connects girls to a world of possibilities in a positive and inclusive girl-led environment, where girls are inspired to discover their passions and empowered to reach their full potential. And whereas Girl Scouts remains dedicated to fostering a sense of public service, civic engagement, and community among girls, while offering enriching opportunities for learning skills, building, and personal growth in areas such as STEM, entrepreneurship, and the outdoors. And whereas more than 2.6 million current Girl Scout members nationwide will be celebrating 112 years of this American tradition, with more than 50 million women, trailblazers, visionaries, and leaders who are Girl Scout alums, who have made the world a better place and are living proof of the impact of this amazing movement. And now, therefore, we, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, do hereby proclaim the week of March 10th through the 16th, 2024, as 2024 Girl Scout of the Week in Kent County. We encourage all citizens to applaud the Girl Scout movement and the Girl Scouts of the Chesapeake Bay for providing girls with a safe, inclusive, all-girls space to hone their skills and develop leadership abilities. Signed, the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Ronald H. Fithian, President, Albert H. Nickerson, Member, and John F. Price, Member.
Very good, and the staff will make sure that the Girl Scouts receive that proclamation. Now we have some consent items. We have our regular session minutes dated February the 13th, 2024. We have our liquor minutes dated February the 13th, 2024. We have some closed session minutes dated February the 13th, 2024. We have Rock Hall Volunteer Fire Company multiple gaming devices application for March the 16th, 2024. We have Chestertown Arts League DBA River Arts raffle only dated March the 1st through June the 7th, 2024. And we had Kent School Parent Association raffle only dated March the 22nd, 2024. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the ayes have it. Then we have a special Class C license application from the 2024 PD-3 Kent Association of Riding Therapy Incorporated for a beer and wine only application for March the 16th, 2024. This, because it is an alcoholic application, it needs to stand for a public hearing. We'll assume today is the public hearing for that. So anyone in the audience who would like to speak for or against this application, feel free to do so at this time. There being no comment, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the special Class C per diem liquor license application for Kent Association of Riding Therapy Incorporated.
I got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, the ayes have it. Now we have, I'm going to introduce our County Attorney Thomas Yeager. We have an alcoholic beverage hearing
Yes.
today.
Yes.
Tom, you.
Thank you. Mr. President, you actually have two matters for public hearing today. My suggestion would be that we take up the public hearing for the alcoholic beverage matter first. I think
Sure.
that will be shorter in time. So the public hearing for the alcoholic beverage application is on a new license. The establishment or the building has held a license for many years. This is a new business going into a location that's been licensed for years. And the second public hearing would be on CHR 204, and this is the bill that will repeal the existing land use ordinance and adopt a new land use ordinance as part of your comprehensive rezoning process. Now, you will not vote on CHR 204 today. You're going to vote on this at a later legislative day. With respect to the public hearing for the land use ordinance, the record will be open until this Friday, and you can accept comments. And Bill Mackey can correct me if I'm wrong when we get to the public hearing, but my understanding is, assuming you pass at a later date the legislation for the comprehensive rezoning, then it goes to the Critical Areas Commission for review. They make comments, it comes back to us, and then we're required to have a public hearing based on their comments. So with respect to the alcoholic beverage hearing, you're going to be voting on that license right after the hearing. With respect to the comprehensive rezoning, you are not going to be voting on that today. So we'll take the public hearing first for the alcoholic beverage license, and I will first read into the record the notice of the public hearing. Bear with me for a second. I have that right here. Application has been made by Christopher J. Golder, member, representing Shore Hospitality LLC, for a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license with caterer's privilege and corkerage privilege on the premises known as the Flying Decoy Bar and Grill, 21270 Rock Hall Road, Rock Hall, Maryland, 21661, which shall authorize the holder thereof to keep for sale and to sell beer, wine, and liquor at the place therein described for on-premises consumption or elsewhere. A hearing on the application will be held in the County Commissioner's Hearing Room, R. Clayton Mitchell Jr., Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. on February 27th, 2024 at 10 a.m., at which time any exceptions to the application will be heard. This is by order of the County Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland, Saundra M. Blackiston, Clerk, and Kate Manager. This was published in the Kent County News on February 8th and again on February 15th. And this location is where the Bay Wolf restaurant was, and before that it was Lewis's Rainbow Inn, and it was another establishment before that. So this location has been licensed for a long time. Anyone who is going to testify for the alcoholic beverage hearing, not for the comprehensive rezoning, but for the alcoholic beverage hearing, could you please stand and raise your right hand? You solemnly swear under the penalties of perjury that the testimony that you are about to give in the matter before us shall be true to the best of your knowledge and belief. So if we could have the inspector and Mr. Golder come forward. I will advise the board that staff has reviewed the application, and everything does appear to be in order. There was a memorandum that the Kate Manager had sent out in regard to this, which should be in your packet, and we would have that as part of the record for this case. Inspector Hersal, is there anything you wish to add with respect to this application?
Yes, I went out and visited the location where the alcohol license has been applied for. They're in process of renovation right now. There is no alcohol located on the premise. To my right here, this is Mr. Christopher Golder, and I would, once I'm done, I would like for him to speak about what his plans are for this new restaurant coming into Rock Hall. He has met all the requirements through us for the alcohol license. He has held an alcohol license prior with a restaurant that he had in Chestertown, 98 Cannon. He was on that liquor license. So this isn't his first time that he has applied for a liquor license or granted a liquor license. I'm sorry, excuse me, on Waterman's liquor license in Rock Hall.
Yeah.
Not 98, but he did work at 98, the liquor license. Mr. Walter, what's your plan with the flying decoy in Rock Hall?
First of all, welcome, Mr. Golder.
Thank you very much. You know, I've been, I guess, in Kent County now for a while, and this is pretty big for the last 2 years after the fire at 98 Cannon. So I'm really looking forward to being still a part of Kent County. It's going to be very similar to what I've always done in town: fresh fish, fresh seafood. We want to have an environment that, you know, you can come there more than just once a week or special occasions. We want it to be, you know, committed to the local community, but also, you know, be something that the people that come in for the seasons have some place to go. Kind of painted the restaurant, gave it a little new look to it, kept the church windows, kind of staying with the classics that's been there for a while. So we're just looking forward to opening up and treating people to some fun food and drinks.
Very good. At this time, I guess we'll open it up if anyone has any, wants to make any comments regarding the application, either for or against the application. Feel free to do so at this time. There being none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the alcoholic beverage license application for Christopher J. Golder, member, Shore Hospitality, LLC, DBA Flying Decoy Bar and Grill, as presented.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations and good luck
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Mr. President, with respect to the land use ordinance, it appears that we do have a number of people in the audience, which I expect will be testifying. So in addition to reading into the record the notice of the hearing, I will read into the record our procedures for testifying.
All but the time limit. I'm going to speak to, I'll speak to that when we get
Sure.
ready.
Sure.
You want a motion to open the hearing?
Yes.
I'll move to open the public hearing for proposed Code Home Rule Bill 2-2024.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it.
And for the record, this is the notice of the hearing and Code Home Rule Bill number 2-2024, introduced by Ronald H. Fithian, President of the Board of County Commissioners for Kent County, Maryland, an act to rescind and replace in its entirety Chapter 222 zoning of the public local laws of Kent County, Maryland, renaming said Chapter 222 as Unified Development Ordinance, also known as the Kent County Land Use Ordinance, referred to herein as the 2024 ordinance, in order to implement the recommendations of the Kent County Planning Commission on proposed revisions to the 2024 ordinance, which are based on the Kent County Planning Commission's 3-year review as part of the comprehensive rezoning and update process, and including non-codified provisions to address Scribner's errors and readability, certain adopted maps, and required critical area commission review and approval. Per Code Annotated Natural Resources Section 8-1809, as the same may be amended from time to time. A hearing will be held on February 27, 2024, 10 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, R. Clayton Mitchell Jr. Kent County Government Center, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland. The agenda for the meeting will be published online 24 hours in advance of the meeting at kentcounty.com/commissioners/meeting-agenda. Citizens are encouraged to participate in the public hearing process. If you require communication assistance, please contact the County Commissioner's Office at 410-778-4600 and press 4, or visit Maryland Relay at mdrelay.org no later than noon on Friday, February 23, 2024. A complete copy of the proposed legislative bill is available in the Commissioner's Office, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and on the county's website at kentcounty.com/commissioners/draft-legislation. By order of the County Commissioners of Kent County, Maryland, Sandra M. Blackiston, Clerk. This was published in the Kent County News on February 8th and again on February 15th. Again, this is for the adoption of your new comprehensive land use ordinance. And as part of this, when you adopt this, if there turns out to be a typo or a grammatical error, this bill gives staff the authority to correct a typo without you having to come in and go through the legislative process, which has become a fairly standard process because you're looking at a 400-page document. So it's likely that despite everybody's best efforts, there may be a typographical error or two in there that we will discover at some point, and this just gives us the ability to correct those without further legislative process. So I will read the procedures for testifying into the record. It is our desire that everyone who wishes to contribute to this democratic process is given a fair and uninterrupted opportunity to be heard. To ensure equal opportunity for individual input for the topic under discussion, certain rules must be followed by all persons who are to testify. The rules to govern our hearings are few, but are intended to guide our proceedings. The hope is that each person testifying will be self-governed, thereby contributing to fairness for all. The chair will remind anyone who testifies when he or she has violated the rules of the proceeding. Rule number 1, please sign the testimony log if you desire to speak during the hearing. Rule number 2, all speakers must identify themselves and use the area designated for purposes of testifying and will use the microphone. Rule number 3, the chair will maintain order via voice commands. Rule number 4, stick to the issues at hand. Written comments will be accepted until the close of business Friday, March 1st, 2024 by the following methods: by email. The email address is kentcounty@kentgov.org, or by letter delivered to the Kent County Commissioners, 400 High Street, Chestertown, Maryland, 21620. And in a moment, Commissioner Fithian will discuss the time frames in keeping order for the testimony. And we anticipate that we would start with the Planning Director, Mr. Mackey, giving a quick overview and offering anything from his staff if he wishes. And then after Mr. Mackey has given his presentation, then we would take comments from the audience. Commissioner Fithian.
Bill, you want to come forward?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.
I'll keep it very brief. I think
Long time coming.
I think we talked about the content quite a bit. At this point, this bill is this body's bill, and this is the public hearing to hear from the public. It's been a 3-year process. Public's has been heard throughout that process. Your planning commission put together a packet which you received in January, and then this is the bill that you all are considering to adopt a brand new land use ordinance for Kent County. And I'd just like for the record to let the public be aware that if they go to our website at kentcounty.com and add /comp zone, they can review the entire document and also some documents that summarize that document, do a chapter by chapter walkthrough from the Planning Commission and some other information. So I will keep my presentation very short. If you have any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the public. And just as a side note, when we started this process, I had hair, so it's been a while.
Do you?
I'm through if you, unless you wish to ask me questions.
No, maybe at later date.
Okay.
We'll
Thank
start
you so much.
taking. So we'll thank you very much. First of all, before you sit down, let me thank all the people that participated, the Planning Commission, all the people that participated in this very, very important document and the building of this document. So I know, it's like you pointed out, it's been 3 years, but that doesn't mean much to some of us, but the people that participated, that's quite a while. It's a lot of discussion. We've heard a lot of things about what's going on, and it was just, but that's how we get better, by having all the participation of the public and listening to what everybody has to say, and we don't always agree. So I just want to thank everybody that had anything at all to do with that, and you and your staff as well.
Thank you. There were a lot of citizen volunteers and members of
A
the public.
lot of citizens had input into this, and it's great. And it's an important, and that's why I was going to say, as far as the time, Shelley, you're going to keep the time, but I believe me, it's been a long time coming. A lot of people participated, and I want to give everybody a right to talk today. We have a 3-minute limit. If you're continuing to contribute something in addition to what we've already heard, I'm going to let you go. If we get so it's just repetition and we're saying the same thing over and over and over again, we've heard it, we might, because we got a long day. We don't want to string this out forever, but I'm not cutting anybody off as long as you're contributing additional information. If you got something that we need to hear, we want to hear it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody want to retrieve the list? Anyone that has failed to sign, that wants to sign now, that may have come in a little late, it's not going to be too late. We'll, after we read this, I'll give everybody an opportunity that might have missed it. But we don't want to, we certainly don't want to leave anybody out. First of all, we have Ms. Pat Langenfelder.
Well, good morning. Thank you for letting us all participate.
It's our pleasure.
October 2020 was the first rezoning here, task force meeting. I was there. I was a participant in the task force. So, like you said, it's been 3 years of this. It's been the information from the public came in requests to make alterations and changes. We had a consultant who reformatted the document. It's been reviewed, re-reviewed, and discussed and rediscussed many topics over and over. But in that process, we've come up with this document that you have before you today, one that has a lot of input from the community, a lot of input from the people who were reading it and digesting it, and coming up with what you have today. So with that going on, with all that input and with all that help, I think you've come up with a document that matches the comprehensive plan and is a good document, a good alternative to what we had. And I think I would strongly urge you to adopt it. And that is all I have to say.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Tom Mason.
My name is Tom Mason, 23991 Minnesota Road, Chestertown, Maryland. I'm here today to present a petition signed by nearly 200 King County residents that want to see the 10% rule eliminated from our land use ordinance. And I might mention, if all 200 of them were here and it took 3 minutes, you'd be here 6 hours. So they're not here, but consider that they are here. And I do need to read the petition, so you will have, I have copies here for all of you with the signed names. But the petition reads, to the Commissioners of King County, Maryland, whereas the current county comprehensive plan expressly provides for the county to foster a diverse, stable economy that provides economic opportunities for all of our citizens, which is essential to a healthy, balanced economy. And whereas the plan encourages economic development and natural resource-based businesses that promote employment opportunities for all income levels and development of cottage and farm-based businesses. And whereas the vision statement and strategies enumerated in the plan explicitly provide for the county to support efforts to encourage young farmers to continue the county's agricultural tradition, embrace sufficient economic opportunities to provide for the well-being of all of its citizens, and encourage the development of farm-based businesses, including small packing canning plants, dairies, roadside stands, wineries, and breweries that permit direct sales to consumers. And whereas the existing 10% lot size limit prescribed in the King County Land Use Ordinance effectively impedes the county's ability to achieve all of the aforementioned plan goals and objectives by severely limiting young farmers' access to affordable parcels of prime farmland, generally limiting small farm owners' ability to both subdivide their land holdings with the benefit, use, and ownership of family members and achieve an optimum price for their land in the event of financial hardship or other circumstances that necessitate farm sale, and severely limiting buyers' access to appropriately sized parcels of agriculturally zoned land suited to a diverse set of small farm agricultural pursuits. Now, therefore, we, the undersigned, petition the King County Commissioners to amend the land use ordinance to eliminate the 10% rule. Like I say, I do have copies here that I will give you.
Very good.
And there are many other people that, since we started this petition, have said they wanted to sign, but if you don't have it right there with you, then you can't. So we can, I'm sure we can get more. Now, if I could digress a minute, I want to give a little personal history here. I grew up on a 5-acre parcel of land, which would probably have violated our 10% rule in Cecil County. where I raised livestock and farmed a small portion, but it developed my passion and love for agriculture that propelled me to today. Others should have that opportunity. Upon graduating from the University of Maryland with a dairy science degree and no assets, I moved to Kent County with the desired farm. Our regulations in the 70s, 80s, and 90s were not near as restrictive on ag as they are today. I was able to purchase several small farms, 20 to 100 acres, and then grew to where we are today. Once again, others should have that opportunity. There definitely is a public need for this, as a person may need to sell more than 10% of their land, but because of financial reasons, estate purposes, retitling to a child or children, or a relative for farming. There's also a return to the land movement, where people want to own a small parcel of land and know where their food comes from. During the rezoning process, the Task Force and Planning Commission took several votes with never a consensus to keep or eliminate the 10% rule, and that's why it is not specifically listed in the changes that we're talking about today. All of you knew Mr. Bill Sutton, who recently passed away. He served 29 years on the Planning Commission. One Sunday, about a year ago, after church, we both attended St. James United Methodist Church. Mr. Bill, he usually sat up front. I sat in the back. I get out fast. But he rushed back and said, "I need to talk to you." Bill said he had done a lot of soul searching and thinking, and he believed that I was right, that 10% rule needs to go. Our agriculture is changing. The 10% rule is keeping our young people from having a chance and is destroying our farm families. At the final Planning Commission meeting where a vote was taken, he voted a strong no to keeping the 10% rule, making the vote a tie. Even though those against agriculture tried 3 times to word a new motion, trying to get Bill to change his mind, Mr. Sutton stood by his convictions, a true advocate for Kent County agriculture. Kent County has one of the lowest farm conversion rates in the state since 1997, before the 10% rule. 44,000 of our acres, or 35% of our farms, are preserved, while the median-sized farm in Kent County is 123 acres. So a lot of farmers and landowners are hurt by the 10% rule. Even the Maryland Preservation Program, MALF, allows you to divide 50 acres off a preserved farm, as long as the remaining farm is 50 acres. For those who have concerns about a change, at any time, the Board of County Commissioners or future boards have the legislative authority to change it. As Commissioner Price stated in the July 27, 2023 issue of the Kent News, and referencing the building height increases along the 301 corridor, he said, this is just one step in sustaining the future of our county. And I and many others feel that eliminating the 10% rule is part of that one step. In conclusion, as our 40th president stated in June 1987 concerning the Berlin Wall, I say, Commissioner Fithian, Commissioner Nickerson, Commissioner Price, if you seek fairness, if you seek prosperity for Kent County and agriculture, come to a conclusion of elimination. Commissioner Fithian, Commissioner Nickerson, Commissioner Price, tear down this wall of oppression. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do have copies here of the petition for the 3 of you. I'll
Lacey.
give a couple of
Lacey, you want to get them?
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I'm gonna need some help with this next one. It's, I'm not sure. Anybody know who's signed in the third spot? Because I don't believe I can read that. Well, you're no
Begins
help.
with an S, I think.
Well, it wasn't me.
Let me,
You want me to take a stab at it?
yeah, take a stab at it. It's a signature and it's just hard to read.
I know the next one.
It's only a few letters, it looks like.
It's like 4 letters.
Looks like an S it starts with.
Let me take a look, Tom. We'll go do something here. Would be Esmond or Esmond.
Yeah, are there any physicians here?
I think there must be one in the crowd.
It was whoever signed up right before Debbie.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what we're gonna have to do then, if nobody has an idea. We're gonna go and whoever's left, at the end, we get to the end, we'll know who that person is. It's Debbie
Debbie Dopp.
Dopp.
It's been a long time since I've been in this room, since my PTA president days.
You haven't changed.
Welcome.
Thanks. The reason I'm here today is about the short-term vacation rental. And I wrote a letter, and I did not think I would be able to read it because of the 3-minute.
No, we're good.
It's about 7 minutes. I tried very hard to get it down to 3 minutes, so I know that it's 7 because I was stopwatching myself to do it.
We're
So
not
if you
going
allow me
at
to
it.
read it, it'll just sum up what I'm here for.
If it's something new, you got all the time you need, I
Okay,
believe
thank
me.
you. Okay, so it was addressed to Kent County Commissioners and also Mr. Mackey. Thank you, Mr. Mackey. You've been very efficient in responding to me, and I appreciate that. So my name is Debbie Dopp. I live at 14530 John Peel Road in Galena. I'm writing to express concerns about short-term vacation rentals in our county. I am a lifelong resident, born and raised here. My home is in Foxhole Estates, which sits in the northernmost end of our county. We are a waterfront, water-privileged community that is extremely private and quiet. We have an HOA established in 1979. In spring of 2023, the community realized that a recently sold home in Foxhole Estates had opened an Airbnb. Our HOA did not at the time prohibit short-term vacation rentals. As a result, the HOA board started to develop guidelines for short-term rentals. Among other things, the guidelines would prevent the Airbnb guests from using our community property. Before the guidelines were in place and signed between the HOA and the owners, 2 Airbnb guests sustained injuries when a community tree fell on them. They required a medical evacuation. Since the owners of the Airbnb property live in another state, Foxhole Estate residents had to deal with this emergency. Our HOA was required to file a claim with our insurance company. Due to the issues we were facing, 20 out of the 23 lot holders, members of our HOA, our community, voted to amend our deed restrictions to prohibit rentals less than 4 months. Each resident contributed money to fund a legal change to our deed restrictions. That amendment is now filed with Kent County. The owners of the Airbnb have chosen to sell their property due to the fact that many neighbors oppose their Airbnb. I'd like to explain to you the 3 reasons for such opposition. First, use and abuse of our community property was a major concern. Our private dock and community areas suddenly became public. Second, adjacent neighbors opposed increased traffic, which included limos, Lyft, and Uber drivers, as well as increased unwanted behaviors such as parties with loud music. Third, the population of young families were extremely concerned about stranger danger. One of our residents calculated that we had strangers in our neighborhood, Airbnb renters, 81% of the time in a 16-week span. This was a scary thought for parents who had purchased homes in Foxhole Estates to raise their children and allow them to roam and play together in a quiet, private, safe neighborhood. In addition, the owner of the Airbnb did not proactively address concerns. They dealt with problems after the community complained about them. By that point, the guests were leaving or had already left. Our way of life was being disrupted on a regular basis because of the constant turnover of guests. Thankfully for us, we had the HOA that was able to remedy our concerns regarding the short-term rentals. However, there are neighborhoods and private areas of our county who may not have the same protection. I think it's fair to say that other Kent County residents would have the exact concerns with nowhere to turn when they were faced with these issues that we were faced with. Our neighborhood shares John Peel Road, which is a county road. It shares it with Sassafras Acres, which is an adjacent neighborhood without an HOA. No sooner had we addressed the issues arising from our Airbnb when a property in Sassafras Acres was sold. The new owners are planning to open an Airbnb. Any homeowner in Sassafras Acres, which is a desirable waterfront community, could do the same, which means we could end up with 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 Airbnbs because they have no HOA to prevent them from happening. Due to the shared access road, we who live in Foxhole Estates have concerns. I sent a letter to you in August along with a map showing the shared access road and a signature page from concerned citizens, which I have with me. Speeding on this road has always been an issue, literally a 30-year issue. As long as I've lived there, this has been a fight that we've had for this road. Our HOA continues to address that issue with residents in both Foxhole Estate and Sassafras Acres. We also have contacted the county on several occasions seeking help with this issue. Without shoulders or sidewalks, this road is no longer safe for children to ride their bikes or residents to walk. Parts of it are no longer two-car passable without one vehicle having to pull off to the side to allow the other to go by safely. The road has increasingly narrowed through the years. The added traffic from a short-term rental would greatly increase the risks involved with an already problematic road within our neighborhood. Upon review of the proposed land use ordinance, Section 2, number 163 states that the only stipulation for short-term vacation rentals to open Kent County is the requirement to report and pay hotel rental tax. We understand this county promotes tourism, and if it helps keep our local taxes from increasing, we support that. However, that should not come at a cost to those who have chosen to live in a quiet country setting rather than a town or resort area. The goal, as stated in General Provisions 1.1, is to promote health, safety, general welfare, and prosperity of the present and future inhabitants of Kent County. Section 1.2d, purpose and intent, states the land use ordinance is responsible for providing the preservation and enhancement of the attractiveness of Kent County through good design and arrangement. After our experience, we as present inhabitants are asking you to please consider drafting and enforcing guidelines for short-term rentals to help protect our way of life. Section 2, number 84 is home occupation. Part 3 states to guarantee to all residents freedom from excessive noise, excessive traffic, nuisance, fire hazard, and other possible effects of commercial uses being conducted in residential areas. I have a home occupation in my neighborhood. I want to share with you what I had to do to open my small business. First, I was required to hire an architect simply to put a partition wall to section off an area of my basement that I would be using for a hair salon. I then was required to submit my plans, apply for a permit from the county, and adhere to all inspections under such permit. Once I received an occupancy permit, I was required to show proof of that to the Maryland State Board of Cosmetology in order to be issued an owner's license. I then took that to my HOA for approval to open. This resulted in many meetings with my neighbors and eventually signing a 2-page guideline document that I've adhered to for 29 and a half years. All of this had to be completed prior to opening for business. I'm happy to state that because I followed proper procedure, I've operated with very few issues through the years. So if I'm being honest, it's frustrating to me personally that a short-term rental can open with no permit, license, or county guidelines. In a community with no HOA, or those who live near such community, there is nowhere for a resident to turn who may be affected by the problems that will arise. It would be hypocritical of me to ask for short-term rentals to be banned in private areas of our county, but I feel it's very fair to ask that they have to adhere to guidelines similar to what home occupations are required to do. Land Use Ordinance Section 1, General Provision 1.2, Goals, states, these procedures are to protect the health, safety, convenience, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the county. Subdivision and site plan review regulates the development of sites and structures in a manner which considers the following concerns and, where necessary, requires modification of development proposals to eliminate or minimize potential problems and nuisances. The principal areas of concern are A, the balancing of landowners' rights to use their land with the corresponding rights of abutting and neighboring landowners to live without undue disturbances. B, the convenience and safety of vehicular and pedestrian movements within the site and in relation to adjacent areas and roads. It seems that Kent County has an obligation to apply these goals when allowing short-term rentals in our county. A quick Google search reveals that the state of Maryland leaves guidelines up to individual jurisdictions. We ask that Kent County takes the time to properly draft and propose guidelines for short-term vacation rentals to be added to the proposed land ordinance that takes into consideration the concerns mentioned above. We feel confident that you will be preventing future problems from occurring and protecting the rights of present inhabitants of Kent County. And then after that, I went and found, I was looking for the minutes from the last meeting, because I've been following this for a bit now. And I found, and I don't know how to say this, what is the software that was just bought for the short-term vacation rental? GovOS?
GovOS.
GovOS.
Yes.
So I found in the last meeting's agenda, page 9, which is page 62 of the agenda, but page 9 from the, I guess these are documents that is the contract with GovOS. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, there's a whole page dedicated to all of these concerns addressed in what I just read. So it goes from working with the county. They offer a partnership program that works with the county to work on guidelines, and they offer education for the owners of the short-term rentals to properly notify their neighbors and know what to expect, what to expect from their neighbors and what neighbors expect from them. And then there's also a noise aware program, which couldn't hurt, I guess. But, there's 4 different items in that page that was in your agenda that would solve every single issue I just mentioned right there. So is that something that goes along with the GovOS?
I believe that's an option.
It's an option.
Right, right.
So I highly recommend that option. Yeah, because it does solve all the problems that we as president have with having short-term rentals.
Did you leave us a copy of that?
This, yeah,
Okay.
sure can. Yeah, so, yeah. So that's all I have.
Well, thank you very
Do you
much.
have any questions about?
Not at this time.
Very well done, Debbie.
Very,
Thank you.
thank you.
I was trying to be.
And I assume some of these issues that are brought up during this public hearing, we'll have taken notes and highlight them so that we, the commissioners, may have further discussion about these. And
do
that,
have my letter,
so
both of them.
you'll, if you leave that, make sure we have a copy of it.
Okay.
We'll give it some consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nancy.
Doug West.
That was pretty clear, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can read that real well. You are not a doctor.
Doug West from Quaker Neck. First, I wanted to thank the 3 of you, the planning board and planning office, and also all the members of the community that were on that task force that spent 3 years going through every inch of this document and doing some really good updates and simplifying things. And I think it's what they've come up with through all this effort is something that will take us into the future and do a great job of it. I just think they did an incredible job, and I support the document as presented to you. One thing I hadn't planned to talk about, but I'll just be quick, is the 10% idea. I think we all agree that we want to do everything we can to keep farmers farming in the county. And through the years, we've worked really hard on that. And the idea, what the 10% rule, taking that out, what we've seen in other counties where that happened is you end up with 20-acre estates. And so, sure, one person, so you take a 20-acre piece of land, you put your house in the middle of it, so you take an acre or 2 out for your house and your yard, and then you have your lane, so that 20 acres that was a field is now down to 17, 18 acres. You may decide, oh, I'll try to get a farmer to farm this U-shaped piece, or you may say, oh, I want to have horses, or I want to have whatever. And before you know it, you gobble up a ton of land, and it's obviously no longer a grain farm. So it's, yes, you could have goats, you could have vineyards, you could have whatever, but you're defeating the purpose of trying to preserve the farmland that we have. So I think that's why, after all the consideration, it was agreed to keep that important part in this ordinance. And as far as the idea of it would help young farmers, a young farmer isn't gonna buy land, he's going to lease ground and start farming that way. And so in no way would that help a young farmer starting out. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. You guys have heard a lot of this, but I just wanted to present that to you. So thank you very much.
That's what today's all about. Thank you.
Sure.
Liz Heel?
So I'm from Wharton. I grew up in Kent County. I just want to tell a little bit of background about myself so that, just so you know. I went to school in Louisiana, so I'm a water scientist, and my background is environmental engineering. And I noticed that a lot of the buffer zones are being altered a little bit and allowing development into these buffer zones that doesn't have to do with existing structures. And I just want to put a little bit of caution out there, coming back from Louisiana, coming home, and just, Louisiana doesn't have buffer zones. It's gone. With sea level rise, hurricanes, and our little county is low-lying. We have, a lot of the marsh structure here is very similar to what's on the coast, which is probably why I liked it so much down there, because it reminded me of home. So when we're letting, I just want to say that when you're letting these developers come in from out of town, or they don't care about us. They don't care what's going to happen to us. When we get a big surge, of Chrisfield is an example. They're like kind of out on a little peninsula, stuck right out, and they get that storm surge first. They have no buffer zone. And when the hurricanes come, they'll be gone. And then it's going to come up and it's going to hit us. So when you're talking about letting developers come in and develop on our waterfront, take out some buffer zones, is a terrible idea. It's going to hurt us. It'll be catastrophic in the future. And I have a daughter here, and I want her to grow up here like I did, safe and not be affected by these hurricanes, because it is coming. And there's data, talk to, just, you could ask, it's not about politics. It's United in Louisiana. You know, they're restoring, that's all they do all year is restore, restore, restore. Hurricanes come in, it's gone. And I just want to make sure that when you're getting these developers coming in and saying, we want to do this and we think this is right, I just want you to think about that. That probably don't want to alter the buffer zones. We need them. It'll save lives and loss of property.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Watson. Elizabeth Watson. I know she's here.
Say that she had to leave and she's going to submit her written comments.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Chip McLeod.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all. My name is Chip McLeod. I'm a local attorney, and I'm here on behalf of Mr. Russ Richardson, who I want to point out is here in the audience, and I know you have met Mr. Richardson before. And I'm also here on behalf of, I should say, not just Mr. Richardson and his business entities that own property here in Kent County, but other property owners in the 301 growth area. And let me first say compliments, congratulations, and gratitude for getting to this point. And I would submit this has been going on longer than 3 years. This has really been going on 25 years. I mean, it's really been a quarter of a century that Kent County has really updated its land use ordinance. And think about that, land use ordinance. I mean, we have a beautiful county. You know, when you get up in the sky, if you're lucky enough to get up in the sky in some device to see Kent County from the air, and you just see how rural it is, it's still astounding. So really compliments to everybody to get to this point and be considering this. And I want to also compliment the county on the transparency throughout this process. I mean, through the website, the ability to get information, keep up with task force proceedings, these documents, when you're looking at a 400-page ordinance and changes and you're able to go online and look at them, it's really a benefit. So compliments on that to make this really a transparent process. I'm here, as I said, on behalf of Mr. Richardson and others, but really to support, of course, this updated zoning ordinance. And I say, of course, I know personally I've been involved in many years in a lot of meetings watching this. I know others have as well. When you look at the county 2018 comprehensive plan, and you look at the county's economic development plan, you look at community charrettes that have occurred over the years, when you have some awareness about what's going on around Kent County, you look at what's happened to the north and the bypass in Delaware, when you understand what's going to happen with a replacement Bay Bridge, when you recognize that traffic on 301 is probably up about 17% in the last couple of years, when you recognize that the 301 corridor is in fact a legitimate alternate to Interstate 95. This zoning ordinance is so important for Kent County now because of that what's coming. And then when you really look closely at what this ordinance does in the growth area, the designated growth area in the 301 corridor is really important because you have some elements in this new zoning ordinance that allow a lot of input and flexibility and frankly, master planning to allow some really transformational things to happen. So again, we support this updated zoning ordinance and we compliment the county on how it's gotten to this point. I also want to add one thing, specifically in the 301 corridor, there are some designs out there for what the zoning ordinance allows is some master planning in that area, and by that, like a master development plan. And fortunately, through Mr. Richardson's efforts and the professionals he's brought to the table, the county has already seen some visions. And I'm just going to hold one up. Some of the really visions for what could happen up in this area, this 400 or 600 acres that's in your 301 corridor, that really helps people conceptualize what this could be like. And again, here we're just talking about the 301 corridor. This isn't something proposed anywhere else in Kent County. So thank you for being open-minded to the professional consultants that have been brought to the table to bring up some ideas. And with that, I just want to shift to a more personal comment about the bill in front of you. You know, I'm a resident property owner. We have property here that we hope is available to our extended family for years to come. You know, what's nice about Kent County, first of all, preservation has worked here. You know, I personally was involved in Kent County for years. I don't want to keep repeating it, but I was county administrator. We talked about so many issues that are in this zoning ordinance back then. Kent County is a beautiful place, and the preservation efforts have worked. You know, I'm lucky enough to travel and see other places in the world and all that, and you come back to Kent County, and it is special. And this kind of goes into this testimony you heard about short-term rentals, and, you know, people want to come here. And I understand issues with short-term rentals, and I don't want to really weigh into that, but I do want to point this out. You know, grounding is important for people, and by grounding, I mean nature, right? Being close to water, being barefoot in the ground. This is real. Allowing more people to come to Kent County and enjoy that, the better. I mean, believe it or not, people will pay to be in Kent County to walk on a rural road that doesn't have a sidewalk or a bike path. That's what we get to enjoy every day. I personally have traveled to places and spent time in very primitive rentals, short-term rentals, because we wanted to be in that area. People really want to be here. This is beautiful. You know, people said, like Louisiana, our marshlands are second to none for sunsets. So be open-minded about that. I mean, I'll speak, like, you all had a text amendment recently about glamping or short-term camping, people wanting to, with some acreage, allow some people to go on their property and spend some time and really, I don't want to say tents, but something less, right? Glamping, whatever you want to call it. And you all approved the text amendment, which allows some of that. But I do want to make an observation. You know, you might have heard the expression, like, what's a camel? It's a horse designed by a committee. the idea of people with some acreage, call it 10 or 20 acres, in Kent County, that want to be able to put a facility in their property that allows people to come and spend a weekend out in nature, whatever it is. That's really a neat idea. That really allows people to enjoy nature, and it can be done in a really structured way. So, you know, be open-minded to people that own 3 to 10 acres adjacent to nothing but farmland, adjacent to preserved farms in the middle of nowhere, that have enough parking and all this that might want to let people come and enjoy their property. So just be open to that, because I have a feeling that's more of a trend for people to go out and enjoy places like that. So enough about that, and I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Ms. Janet Christensen. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a little hard to get up here, but.
You take your time.
Janet Christensen Lewis, and I live in Millington, Maryland. And thank you for having this public hearing today on this document that you are contemplating. The comprehensive rezoning before you today marks the accumulation of over 4 years of dedicated efforts and at the expense for an outside consultant at over $200,000. This extensive process that was engaged the rezoning task force, planning staff, and members of the public. And the total number of hours spent in meetings during this whole process was 1,174 if you look at all of the minutes spent by everyone that went to every meeting, and that includes public participation. It's important to note that this figure only accounts for the time spent in the direct deliberation at public meetings and does not encompass the additional hours individuals invested in reviewing or preparing materials for these meetings. Furthermore, it doesn't acknowledge the time that the Planning Commission and the planning staff have dedicated to reviewing and approving the documents now presented to you. We must also acknowledge the time invested by the Planning Commission staff and the elected body in addressing a failed attempt to circumvent the ongoing process instigated by a former official who believed the process was not leading to his desired outcome. The commissioners approved a task force, entrusted the planning department to oversee the process, and encourage public participation to formulate a comprehensive land use rezoning plan aligned with the comprehensive plan. They were all acting under the authority of and at the behest of this commission. The outcome of their deliberations, including some of the most contentious elements incorporated into the document under consideration today, is the result of a wide variety of comments and discussions and votes, and is a testament to the democratic process in action. I come before you in strong support of this revision to the land use ordinance in its entirety, and request a favorable vote for its adoption. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean Jones?
Certain when I put my name on there, I was last, so it might not be as long as you thought you were going to be. Again, my name's Sean Jones, live in Madison. Again, like everyone else said, I appreciate the process that this whole land use ordinance went through, the amount of time that everybody put into it. It's impossible to think that every situation that's going to arise in Kent County is going to be met in this one document. There's going to be things that come up in the next year, the next 2 years, and despite the fact that we've done our best effort to shape something here that meets every situation, it's not possible. And things like the short-term rental situation probably weren't high on the priority list of things that got discussed that's going into it. So, I mean, we're gonna have concerns that we're gonna have to meet down the road. This is a great starting point. A lot of effort went into the document. I strongly, urge you to go ahead and pass this document in its entirety as it was presented, understanding that down the road, there's still gonna be issues that arise that we're gonna have to look at. And then just one more point of, that I'd like to make. As you enter into Kent County and you see the sign, it says Kent County, home of wide open spaces. And as it regards to the 10% rule, I give a lot of credit to that rule for creating that environment that we all enjoy and that we promote on the sign as you enter into the county. 30-year resident of Kent County, moved down to the state of New Jersey because we ended up with 20 and 30 acre farmettes completely around a production agricultural site. And sooner or later, those two are in conflict with each other, not in support. So I strongly urge you to keep the 10% rule in. I think it's been instrumental in developing the county that we currently see and that I think most of us enjoy. So I would strongly urge you to accept the document in its entirety.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean.
And I have to apologize. As Paula Reeder, I skipped right over your name, and I did not intentionally, and I apologize.
It isn't the first time. Thank you very much. I want to clarify that I am not speaking on behalf or for the Planning Commission, of which I am a member. I'm speaking as a 33-year resident of the county, and entirely from an individual perspective. One of the things about Kent County, I've been here a long time and I think you would concur, is that the county is land rich and revenue poor. And I know you've all struggled with that in the last budget round. And so I think it makes sense from an administrative and economic well-being perspective to identify opportunities to improve the revenue situation. And there are lots of them, but I'm only going to speak to one. I'm here today to ask you to reconsider the 10% rule and eliminating it. And the reason for that is multifold. First of all, it's discriminatory. The only people affected by the 10% rule are farmers who own less than 100 acres or less in land. All of the major landowners in this county are not affected at all by the 10% rule. So we're looking at a population of people whose options for the use of their land, whether it be for estate planning purposes, whether it be for needing to sell, whether they want to subdivide to give property to their children or relatives, amount to about, as I counted, about 175 farm families in Kent County. So what are we talking about? There were 134,000 acres of farms in Kent County in 2017. I don't think that number's changed a lot. Of those farms, over 44,000 acres are currently in permanent preservation. A third, probably more because I don't have 22 and 23 MALF designations in my numbers. So the idea that eliminating the 10% rule is going to result in mass conversion of farmland, which hasn't happened in Kent County since 1997, is, I think, stretching the point. It's an exaggeration we shouldn't listen to. If you eliminate this rule, you're eliminating the discrimination against small farmers. You're providing an opportunity for land to be used to diversify farming techniques. You're making the land more affordable, whether they lease it or not, to young farmers. And you're giving yourselves in the county the opportunity to improve revenue streams, to improve our economic well-being. So I'm going to urge you to reconsider your perspective on the 10% rule. Put the opposition, which largely comes from large landowners, not small farmers, in perspective. And I urge you to reconsider. As far as the rest of the plan goes, having had the opportunity and the privilege of working on it with many fine people, I'm delighted to see that it's come to you for a vote. And I endorse the remainder of the plan fully.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, there's an infamous individual that I could not figure out who signed this. Does anybody want to own up to that now? Maybe it looks like to me they might have got disgusted with writing their name and just left. I don't know. All right, if not, I'm just going to finalize by saying thank you very much. I know we thanked everybody who worked on this plan, but everybody conducted themselves in the most professional manner, and we really appreciate that. I know I do. You know, we always struggle with this because there's not one of us in here that don't love this county. But on the other, and we love the wide open spaces. We all grew up with it, and it's our home. We also, as three commissioners, we have to have some revenue coming. We got to pay our bills, and we've got to grow to some degree. And that's why in the past, I think, you know, we're all going to fall on our sword to maintain our strong agricultural community, regardless. But we have to grow, and that's why we think, or I think, I'm going to speak for me right now, is that's why it was important that we invest some ideas in the 301 corridor, because that gives us an opportunity to grow and do as least amount of damage to the rest of the county as we can. I mean, we to maintain these open spaces and give everybody an opportunity. So that's why there's been times when we take a look at 301, and to me, and look, this kind of theory started 25 or 30 years ago. I've been here 26 years. We've been talking about 301 that corridor ever since. And the idea is that we develop that, and we save what we truly love about Kent County. For whatever that's worth. I mean, but I want to thank again everybody that participated. I think it's an important document, and it's going to, as was pointed out, it's going to carry us for a long time. But thank you all again, and more than that, thank you for your professionalism in testifying today. It was very much appreciated. With that,
Close the public hearing.
Yeah.
Unless there's other commissioner comments.
And well, first of all, anybody that didn't get a chance to speak that has had second thoughts and would like to speak. I don't want anybody walking out of here that didn't get an opportunity.
And then written comments will be accepted through Friday. So if you think of something on your way home or later in the week, if you get it here by Friday, the commissioners will consider it.
Thanks for pointing that out, Steve. Anybody else? Comment, questions?
I just want to echo what you just said, Ronnie. I mean, we do appreciate everyone participating and your professionalism throughout this process. While each one of you that actually presented here this morning were talking, I made some notes on each and every one of you, and I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. I think we need to have some additional conversations at some point before we decide to vote on this to see if we can address some of the concerns that were brought to us here today. We actually represent the people of the county. I'm not here to serve John Price, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners aren't there to serve their selves. we represent the people of Kent County, and that's what I plan to do. So, Albert, do you have anything?
No, I just want to thank everybody again. It has been a long process. I was at that October meeting as well, and it's been trying at times. I mean, there's times when you don't agree with sometimes even your family members, but that didn't happen now. I think Sean nailed it by saying, even though we've done a great job with this document, I think, but there's going to be things. Heck, he said next year. I'm thinking next month, for God's sakes. I mean, but I do think that it's a very good baseline, and that all the hard work is certainly appreciated. So thank you, guys.
Very good. Okay, well, want to entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for proposed Code Home Rule Bill 2-2024, and for the record to remain open until the close of business on Friday, March 1st.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much, and thank you again. Bill, you up again? Letter of response, I'm not sure.
Thank you very much. There's a new process adopted that allows communities to have early input on solar projects. And Mark Harper, our associate planner, is going to present the report today.
Okay.
Yes, good morning. As Bill mentioned, there's a new process for proposals to install solar generating facilities, utility scale in counties, that those administrations or those jurisdictions should be given 90 days notice prior to submission of the application to the Public Service Commission. Once we receive those, and we did receive those documents on December 18th of last year, those jurisdictions are allowed or encouraged to provide a response. The response should include three components. One of those being a statement or finding regarding the consistency with the comprehensive plan, a statement or finding regarding the consistency with the land use ordinance, and then suggestions for approving or modifying the submitted materials prior to submission of their application to the Public Service Commission. This is for certification of public convenience and necessity, and this is required for utility scale solar, which is 2 megawatts or greater. So we've been in discussion with Turning Point Energy for several months regarding proposed community solar project, which will be in Peacock Corner Road, which is on the other side of Millington. We received the materials, and we've drafted a response according to those materials, addressing each of these three components: consistency with comprehensive plan, consistency with land use ordinance, and some suggestions that we submit to you for your review and potential acceptance or submission onward to them. I think the idea behind this today is for you to review this. The response will be coming from the county itself, so you could make amendments or changes to this draft response to them. Basically, in terms of the consistency with comprehensive plan, they submitted an environmental review document, and that does list a lot of things which are that are consistent with our comprehensive plan, primarily sort of the socio-ecological benefits, some of the environmental benefits, reducing the carbon load for electricity production. Also, in terms of the revenue generated as a commercial product, and also subscribers to the community solar do receive reduced benefits or reduced cost in their electricity, some of those being applied to those of lower or modest incomes. So the only thing we saw in terms of not being consistent with the comprehensive plan is they are proposing to put this 5 megawatt facility in an ag zone district. We do have limitations in terms of utility scale solar in ag districts and also in the resource conservation district at 5 acres. This would exceed that area. In total, with the landscaping, it's proposed to be about 40 acres to be utilized. So that's inconsistent. Also in terms of use of the agricultural land itself. The county does have a prioritization of use of agricultural land, preservation of agricultural land, and we even created the preferred, sorry, what's the PPA, priority preservation area. Thank you very much. So it's not consistent with that priority. So we do see that it's not fully achieved in terms of consistency, and the only limitation would be primarily just the location itself. In terms of consistency with land use ordinance, the county does have 94% of all the land in the county does permit for solar to occur. 67% of that does have limited in terms of size. These are the RCD and the AZD districts. In essence, there are facilities in which you can have smaller units or smaller types of areas being used for community solar. In terms of other components of the land use ordinance, they have addressed many of the county-wide standards for utility scale projects, either within their current plans, or the current materials, or they've addressed how they would attend to each of those requirements. There's only one small thing I found in terms of landscape border, and that's I've mentioned in this document itself. And the third component of this response was suggestions. And so in regards to suggestions, we did offer 3 items for your consideration. The first one is technical, and this is based upon that landscaping portion on the southern boundary of the proposed landscape or the proposed solar array. The second is that in our discussions, it was made known to us that there was a presumed historical family burial area in the area. So with our initial discussions, we met with them, I think in November of last year. It was suggested that they change the perimeter fencing to exclude that portion. So we appreciate that. We are requesting that in terms of the burial area that remain open for public access, and that they create a pathway to the vegetative buffer to access that particular place. And lastly, this goes back to the prioritization of agricultural land within the county, that given the removal of crop production of prime agricultural land in the county's priority preservation area, the county is requesting a donation of $52,500, which is agricultural preservation fund for use in purchasing agricultural preservation easements. This figure is based upon the Maryland formula for determining the agricultural value of land, as used by the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation, and is found in COMAR regulations. So we present this to you for your consideration. And we do have in the audience today some representatives of this project. I think would be available to offer comment or respond to questions as well.
Thank you. Those that you're speaking of, do they want to speak today? I mean, that.
Sure.
Okay.
Hello, Genevieve McFarland with Stevens Palmer, counsel on behalf of Turning Point Energy.
Heather Hutton, Kimley Horn, excuse me, civil engineer for Woodford.
Well, welcome to Kent County.
Thank you for having us.
So first, I'd like to thank all of the planning department for helping us through this. I know this is a new process for everybody involved, so they've been really helpful and responsive in moving things forward. In regard to this part of the process, basically, this is a preliminary report as Mr. Harper went through and noted each part of this. I did want to take a moment to inform you about what community solar is, because this is a community solar project. This is somewhat of a new thing in Maryland, and Ms. Hutton can certainly add to my knowledge on this. So basically what happens is it's an off-site array that people in the community, businesses, municipalities can buy into. And it prioritizes providing renewable energy credits and benefits to low-income and moderate-income families. So this is something that's great for Kent County, bringing that renewable energy benefit to the people that live here, lowering their cost of energy, and providing, tax revenue to the county as well. So I know we had pointed out in here that it wasn't necessarily cohesive with a comprehensive plan in regard to the PPA area, and Ms. Hutton has some information on basically the logistics and the size of the project and why it's important to be the scale that it is.
Sure. Thank you again for your time. Elaborating on that a bit more, I know Kent County has seen in past years other utility scale solar projects. We want to try to emphasize why this project is a bit different than what you may be used to, that being the community scale aspect. So that's a program that Maryland has been running as a pilot program for a number of years now. Many projects have gone through this program all throughout the state. That program has recently been expanded. It was previously limited to a 2 megawatt limit. All these projects do directly interconnect to the local power supply, and they go into whatever the local utility provider is, which can obviously vary across the state. Then the residents of that area can subscribe to that project as a source of their energy. So that still gets routed through the local power grid, so it's really no change to them on a daily basis other than who the bill goes to. There is generally reduction in energy savings for the subscribers there. And what this community program expansion recently expanded the limits of the project from 2 megawatts to 5 megawatts. Which is great. It allows a lot of opportunity for the community solar program to grow, which generally is seen in great light and helps Maryland really achieve its green energy goals. In going above 5 megawatts, all projects are required to go through a CPCN, that Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, with PSC and PBR. So this is kind of the first step in that process, is getting the county's input prior to us going to the CPCN. We want to make sure that this is, we want to do this in best faith, and we want to make sure that the county has their chance to buy in, and we've already met with some of those preliminary meetings where we've discussed some changes that have already happened to date. So this is kind of the next step in allowing any of those items to be discussed. One of the things that Mr. Carver touched on was the 5 acre limit that is in the agricultural area. That does pose a challenge for the community solar project, specifically because when you combine the 5 acre limit and also the 200-foot setbacks that the zoning code requires, a 5 acre project would get you approximately 1 megawatt, maybe less. Then, if you were to consider that as a square, just thinking about the most efficient shape here, that 5 acre array, then if you have the 200-foot setback, that would take up an approximately 17 acre parcel to get the 1 megawatt. So what this project is proposing is 5 megawatts, which is the maximum of the community solar project, the maximum of the community solar program. And it, at this point, is approximated to be around 30 acres. And it's all on one parcel. So using a much more consolidated, efficient use of land, which is a benefit to this. Something unique to this site is really its location. It's on the very, very southern border of the county. I don't know if you've had a chance to review any of the documents that were submitted through Mr. Carver's review. I have a copy of some of them if you want to see some of the the zoning maps, the concept site plans, our draft document. I have all of that here if you want me to distribute those. So on the southern portion of the property is bisected by Peacock Corner Road and is quite large. The project will be consolidated into just one triangular portion of that lot. And then Mr. Carver has elaborated on the staff's suggestion of modifications to the site plan which the applicant is willing to continue to discuss. To elaborate further on the large picture of the process here, as this goes through CPCN, should that be granted by the state, then we will come back to Kent County for all the required processes that are required for any development. So then it would go back to Kent County for the major site plan process, which will include all the erosion sediment control, site plan reviews, all of the items that are required for any development within the zone. So there will be plenty of input from the county on that point, and it will abide by all the code requirements from that standpoint. Do you all have any questions for us?
Well, we probably have a lot of questions,
That's
to be
fine.
quite honest with you, but probably not today. I mean, I would envision that we have a further discussion with our planning director, who probably can answer most of those, the type questions we might have. And then he'll be in touch, I guess. But thank you for the presentation, and we will certainly be talking about the project. Okay?
Thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to ask if
No.
you was one
No,
of my
that's-
colleagues.
You said it very well.
Okay, all right.
So we're gonna sign this letter.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed letter to the applicant for signature by the county commissioners.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Miss Lisa Mazingo, Director of Kent Family Center. How are you today?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Good, good, good.
Okay, this afternoon, I have 2 items for you. I'm going to give a departmental update, but first, I have submitted the MOU for the partnership between Kent Family Center and the new Judy Center in Rock Hall. That agreement is similar to the other 2 that I've submitted. We now have 3 Judy Centers in Kent County, so we are all navigating and figuring out how to work with one another and how to complement the services of each agency. So the Judy Center partnership supports our program in that it helps fund our parenting programs, and they provide supplies and materials. We do a lot of outreach events with them and things like that, so I'd like to request a signature for that MOU.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and sign the memorandum of understanding between the Kent Family Center and the Rock Hall Judy Center for 2023 through 2024 school year.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a departmental update, I'll go over a few things that have been going on. We are currently serving about 16 families on our high-intensity caseload and about 4 on our low-intensity caseload. We are experiencing some staffing challenges, which I've mentioned in the past. I know that's not unique to my department. Our service coordinator will be returning from maternity leave next week, thankfully, so that will help a great deal, but we're still down 2 positions. I've been working with HR. They've been very helpful. It's just, there's such a small pool of applicants is really the issue. As a manager, I've been doing a lot of activities to try and prevent burnout with the staff. I feel like I'm asking them to do more all the time. We're not compromising the quality of our programs. We're still trying to grow and recruit new families and work with other agencies as partners. So we've been doing I've been offering some flexibility with scheduling and having some self-care emphasis and things like that. But I find myself in a constant balance between taking care of the staff who are very dedicated and loyal and still energetic, and providing the quality programs. So one of the issues you'll see when the budget is presented is that we're requesting that 2 of the positions become full-time from 35 hours to 40 hours, so that those employees can enjoy all of the benefits of full-time Kent County employees. We have lost staff due to the fact that I'm the only full-time staff member in my department. Some have gone to other positions with the school system or other agencies for less pay and less flexibility with scheduling because they need benefits for their families. So I just kind of wanted to mention that before I present my budget to you in a few weeks. On a positive note, though, we do have a Washington College intern, so she's there 2 mornings a week, and that's been very helpful for us and for the college. We have some newer partnerships. One is with the University of Maryland Office of Extension, the SNAP Ed program. Eric Fitch has been coming in. He's been making his rounds with all of the educational agencies in the county, the schools, and I think child care centers and the community center, and he's really doing a great job with nutrition and fitness education and helping families figure out how to use SNAP benefits and get provide healthy meals for their families on a budget. So that's been great. We've been working more closely with KidSpot in town, so that's been helpful. With the addition of the Judy centers, the new Judy centers, we have seen a little bit of a reduction in our intensity or visit numbers because we're offering a lot of the same things, but the Judy Center coordinators and our staff are working closely to ensure that we are offering complementary programs, like I said, maybe alternating weeks on things, and just doing our best to make sure that everybody gets what they need and that we're serving all of the families with children under 5 the best that we can. Another partnership with Washington College has been that we've done one presentation so far with the child assessments class, and that's in the human development major. So we presented all of our child assessment tools to a group of students and just showed them what the practical application looks like, what data we can gather from observing children and doing assessments, and how that data can be used to make referrals and get services for children who have possible delays or disabilities. So that partnership has been fun. That's one of the things I love to do, is to talk to people, students especially, about what we do. Let's see, we visited the Kent County Public Schools social worker and counselor meeting 2 Fridays ago, Katie and I, and presented some of our parenting programs and discussed possible ways that we could work with pregnant and parenting teens. It seems like maybe that number is going up a little bit in the high school. So we're hoping to possibly work towards a partnership where we can either go into the school and do a parenting class, or we can add them to our home visiting caseload or support them in some way. We'll be visiting some family centers in other states where, even though we're a part of Maryland Family Network, we're kind of looking outside of that at the National Family Support Network. We've become a member of that network, and we're really looking at how families, they call them family resource centers in that network, but how they work with their partners and serve their families, especially in small rural communities, without duplicating services. And you know, I just think it's always important to look at how other people are doing things and what we can improve on and what we can do better to help our families. So we've already implemented a few minor changes by looking at some of their structures and their frameworks. So I think that's all I have, if there aren't any questions.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Looks like you still have quite a long agenda to get through, so.
Well, it's going along very well.
We're getting there.
Mr. Miller. I don't see a Mr. Miller. I see a couple of his employees, but how are you ladies?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Good to see you.
We're here in place of Mr. Miller. He's still out.
What's that?
Mr. Miller still is
He's
out.
under the weather.
Oh,
Yes, so
Okay.
we're filling in for him, if that's all right.
that'd be fine.
All right. So we're here to present a couple new hires or recommendations for hire to you. The first one, I hope, is the utility technician. Usually I have the screen on my screen today. This position, we actually had 12 candidates apply, and the one presented for you for hire is and our department's recommendation and the wastewater department's recommendation that he has the really good work experience, skill set, and knowledge that will benefit the department. So we would like you to approve his recommendation for hire.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional offer of employment to the recommended candidate.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, and then the next one is a plant operator for our water and wastewater division. This applicant actually used to work for the county once upon a time. He was here when we actually implemented our water plants. You'll notice that this position for the budgeting, we're actually going to fund this through an operator in training. We also have salary savings, and additionally, for this position, we have a plant operator that has submitted their resignation for retirement. So we will be using their salary to fund this position for the FY25 budget.
I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a conditional offer of employment to the recommended candidate to fill one of the plant operator vacancies in the water and wastewater division.
Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
My understanding is our third position we are tabling for the correctional officer.
Go ahead and start, and then if the decision is to table.
Okay. The third position is a correctional officer vacancy. The applicant we are presenting is in lieu of an applicant that you previously approved us to make a hire for. That applicant did not complete the pre-employment process, therefore we are coming back to you to replace said applicant with another one.
So we're putting that one on hold for now.
I'd like to make a motion that we table this until we take a closer look at the staffing levels that are needed for the current incarcerated population.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Jen, I see Mr. Miller's was scheduled. Will you be there for that?
I will, yes. I've been in touch with Mr. Miller, and I've spoken with
I'm going to
Kevin.
bring up another little but it's personnel. It's just, it fits the criteria of this, so thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure you would be here.
Do you want me here?
I do.
Maybe.
We have Muriel Cole, Vice Chair, Commission on Aging, a request for membership. She's obviously not here for that, but, oh, it's under you, Shelley, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, this is on behalf of the Commission on Aging from Miss Muriel Cole, the Vice Chair. Right now we have 4 terms that have expired. One of the members has decided to take some time off and enjoy a much needed, or a much deserved, I should say, retirement.
Again?
But 3 of the other members would be happy to be reappointed and serve another term if that is your pleasure. These are 3-year terms, and these terms will expire December 1st, 2026, if approved.
Any questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended candidates as a new member and reappoint the 3 members for an additional 3-year term that will expire December 31st, 2026 to the Commission on Aging Board.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay, second, I have a letter for you that was received by a citizen. The last time we spoke of this, you had directed staff to move forward with a particular plan of action, and that is still ongoing.
Okay.
And then in the report out for you today, I have 2 items. The first is that a letter was sent at the request of Commissioner Nickerson to oppose House Bill 0778, and this was for migratory game bird hunting on Sundays. That hearing, what did happen last week, and to date has not been cross-filed in the Senate. And the crossover date has happened, so there would have to be a special committee to resurrect that in the Senate, if that were to happen. And secondly, you had approved a security modification grant between the Administrative Office of the Courts and the Commissioners for improvements in the courthouse, and that document was signed by Commissioner Fithian and is included in your packet.
Okay. Then I got Miss Bonnie Pearsall, Kent Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement, Kate. She's the inspector for Kent Alcohol and Tobacco Enforcement, to give the license updates.
Yes.
Very good.
My first one is, I conducted a closeout inspection of the Bay Wolf Restaurant in Rock Hall. It was completed on January 30th, 2024. No alcohol was found on the premises while I was conducting this inspection. A bulk transfer permit is not applicable. The license number 4762, a Class B beer, wine, liquor with extended privileges, license was surrendered by the license holder. He voluntarily surrendered the license before its expiration date. On February 1st, 2024, I conducted an inspection at an establishment located in Chestertown, Maryland. During this inspection, I found that there was no one on the premises that was certified by an approved alcohol awareness program, which we call TIPS. It's Training for Intervention Procedure Certification. Due to a previous written warning given on August 1st, 2023, they were issued a fine for this violation. The fine was paid in full on February 13th, 2024. And an update to that is 3 employees at this establishment has went through the certified alcohol awareness program and were certified for the TIPS certification. So 3 now is certified there.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You do the same. Any, we got this time we get to public comment or media review. Any questions, comments from anyone in the audience? Okay. Then we have, Bill, are you going to be at one of the closed sessions?
I don't believe so. I'm getting enough now.
It's not. It's not.
Makes me feel better.
Yeah. Huh?
It makes me feel better. I wasn't planning on it.
You want to take my place?
I can't imagine why you would be unless there's something.
Well,
I don't
I
know.
was just wondering. Could you come up forward? I got a question for you before we close out.
Sure thing.
Because you were nice enough to call me the other day. I requested an update on the wharf at Handy Point, how it's going through this critical area process. And you were explaining to me that there was a concern about what would happen in, like, if it changed ownership in 25 years, how.
I was sort of theorizing about why they might have requirements.
But it's, what I guess my simple question is, it's a critical area commission that has those concerns.
Yes, that's my opinion.
It's not us.
Correct, right. Critical Area Commission asks for certain mitigation for these kinds of projects that would be, I think would affect the 300-foot buffer. So they're basically working with the applicant regarding what kind of mitigation might be needed. And I understand that the size of the request may be changing by the applicant in order to have those mitigation projects perhaps be in the future or not so intense.
And I've seen some correspondence from their side, the Handy's Point, from their people, and it seems though they're working through this process.
Yes.
So I just wanted a little clarification. That's all, of who has the concerns, because look, as I've said before, and I'm just repeating myself now, but I'm as much about saving the environment as Chesapeake Bay as anybody going, and everything that I see them doing there is the plus side as far as I'm concerned. They're taking problems away from the waterfront, near the waterfront, and moving them upland away from the Chesapeake Bay. In my opinion, exactly what the critical area stands for. And it just seems like the process, and this is not directed at you by no means, that the process when somebody's trying to do the right thing for the environment, it shouldn't take this long, and it should be a much easier. And one of these days, if I get before them, I won't be able to help myself, but I'm going to say that, and that probably won't do any good, but it'll make me feel better a little bit. But when, if they were doing just the opposite, if they were trying to move that down closer to the waterfront, I'd say absolutely not. They're moving a failed septic system upland, working on boats upland away from the waterfront, which makes, to me, perfect sense. And it just bothers me that it takes this long for them to understand that. That's just me on my soapbox. Thank you for your clarification.
Thank you, sir.
And I was hoping that it wasn't us bringing up all these, because I think that's the way it's supposed to work, and the process should be easier when you're trying to do the right thing. Thank you.
There is one, and Bill had addressed this, that our policy requires you to make a decision within 90 days of the public hearing. You can't really do that because it's still going with the Critical Areas Commission. So
Right.
if you made a decision, Critical Areas Commission, to approve, the Critical Areas Commission would not see that favorably. So we did some research. I researched it briefly, and I think Bill did, or his staff did, Carla did more extensively. The 90-day requirement apparently is not a state law requirement, it's a requirement that we put in there. So just for housekeeping, my recommendation is that, Bill, that you get a statement from the applicant saying they waive that 90-day decision. Because if they don't waive it, the decision would have to be a denial because we don't have approval from the Critical Areas Commission. So want to give that for them to waive that 90-day requirement. That way that keeps the current application on the table so they don't have to start over again.
Makes sense to me.
And we might want to look at, in the future, maybe to revisit that provision in our ordinance, because my guess is this is not the first time that we're going to encounter delays because of actions of the Critical Areas Commission. I'm not being critical of them, I'm just saying that for whatever reason, it seems like we can have our public hearing, we submit it to them on a timely basis, but they're not going to get back to us or do what they need to do in 90 days.
Their
So we may
process
need,
cycle is much longer than ours.
correct. So we may need to take a look at that 90-day requirement in our policy, so it aligns better with the Critical Areas Commission.
Okay, anybody got any questions? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Now, I know we have,
A number of.
at closed sessions. We'll entertain a motion for that.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session under the Annotated Code of Maryland General Provisions, Article 3-305B1, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, or any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. 3 matters are planned to be taken up for discussion. The first one is a personnel matter, and we are seeking legal advice concerning that. The second one is an update on specific personnel matters, and the third one is legal advice regarding a potential claim.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. We are in